My name is Jayme, and this is my story. I never thought it was bad enough. I was raised by going to church every Sunday with people around me that cared about me. And so there was a lot of guilt around the types of trauma that I experienced because it could always be worse. My story wasn't bad enough to make a big deal out of, and so I didn't, and just kind of suppressed a lot of my testimony because there were so many people who had it worse than I did. And it wasn't until I was older that I started to share that. So grew up in a very small town and had two older siblings. My parents got divorced when I was only 5, and so anger and alcohol raised me, and I was kind of the ammunition on how they would hurt each other, even at that young of an age. Death was something I started experiencing, and so I knew chaos because when things were calm, that meant things were about to hit the fan. So a lot of trauma just with that, and being this little girl who was just craving for love, but was now known as obnoxious and just this annoying little kid that was selfish. And so again, I had to just suppress it because things weren't that bad and I wasn't grateful. Fast forwarding to when I was in junior high, the age of 13, my mom ends up taking me to the doctor and they're like, you're just angry all the time. They diagnosed me as depressed, and within a 6-month time frame, they had put me on 4 different antidepressants. I was just like a walking science experiment, and I was still just angry. And then when I was 16, 2 of my best friends had died in a car accident on July 3rd, and being in a small town, literally having to walk across the street to see one dead friend in the funeral home, then go to the other, then have to leave a funeral early to get to the other, wasn't necessarily a fun time either. And again, but life's not that bad. People's story is still worse than mine. How ungrateful for me to think that life is bad, and just continued to just feel beaten down and broken that my story mattered, because I was in this turmoil of that life wasn't as bad as what it could be, but I didn't deserve having a better life either. So I was just stuck in this gray, and I feel like there's a lot of people who need to hear that, because you always hear that it could always be worse. And yes, that can be motivating, but other times that's also like, well, shoot, my story doesn't matter then. So then by the time that I had graduated high school, there was a lot of traits about my father that I was not a fan of, and I swore I would never be with somebody who did and acted those ways. And I ended up dating a very toxic individual. Drugs and alcohol were very much my coping mechanism. It was everything that could go wrong in that relationship did. The physical abuse, the emotional abuse, being pushed on the stairs, having my head bashed up against a car window while I was driving it. I had attempted suicide in multiple ways on multiple occasions. I had lost friends to murder during this time frame, people to suicide, people to car accidents, even more so. And so all of this just kept happening. And there was one particular moment where alcohol was definitely involved, but I very much tried to end my life, and just with how much was in my system, I couldn't even function, but I was attempting to slit my wrist. Next thing I know is I'm waking up lying in bed next to my mom. Don't remember how I got there, when she got there, and I was just begging her to give me the approval. I was like, Mom, I don't want to be here. This is stupid. I don't want to be here. Can you please just give me the permission? Because I don't want to hurt people anymore, and I don't want to hurt anymore. Just let me do it. And she didn't. And even at that point, a lot of guilt stuck in, because how could you put your mother through that, you ungrateful person? At least you have people in your corner who are trying to help you. But I still wasn't seeing myself as enough. And so life continued on. I drank a lot. Started coping and dealing with things in, again, not so good of ways. And there came a moment as I'd gotten older and started getting a little bit more comfortable telling my story. And I got put into a situation that I was not feeling safe in. Because of not feeling enough, I latched on to somebody that I thought could make me feel safe in that moment, and they didn't, and I was right. And the whole time, I just kept thinking, just get through this, because it's better than where you could be in any other moment, right? Than what you are right now. And then again, hating myself because things could be way worse. So needless to say, as you can tell from the theme of this story, it was that whether good or bad, enough just wasn't enough. You know, I walked away from my faith because of it. I found God again. And in that journey, I have always been very vibrant and energetic to every person that comes my way. But deep inside, it was dark. It was always super, super dark. As I started leaning more and more into my faith, recognizing that I was made perfect in His image and that He was there the entire time. Whether my story is traumatic enough or bad enough or inspiring enough, all of those different tests that He put me through became my testimony, where I now have been blessed with the ability to empower other people and help them through their traumas. Because even if it wasn't to the intensity that their story is, I at least was strong enough to experience that and endure it, to be able to relate to them, love them, and help them grow through that experience so they can be empowered by their story. So being here in this entire movement of We Are Not Broken means so much more to me than what I think anybody understands, because it's literally the path that God has led me down to try to be able to help other people know that no matter how big or small of trauma you've experienced, like, nobody knows what you're feeling inside, and that story matters, and you matter. You deserve more, and you don't ever have to feel like because you didn't experience something awful, or because you did, it doesn't matter where you're at in that. You still deserve far more than that, because we have a God who just gives us an abundance amount of love. And so you are very, very loved. So with that being said, I am beautiful. This is me, and I am loved.